I'm not sure if you guys know this about me. I'm not super vocal about it here on the channel, but I absolutely adore the fall. Each season of the year is associated with something different. Winter is the season of sleep, the season of rest. The entire world is sleeping around you in a sort of stasis until spring rolls around to wake it up. Springtime is the season of rebirth. Summer is the season of me wishing desperately that I'd just die before I completely melt. And fall. Fall is the season of change. I look forward to the first chill winds of fall, the first turning of the leaves, as much as I look forward to my own birthday or my favorite holidays. Fall, for me, is like one season-long holiday. As the world changes around me, as it prepares for the long sleep of winter, undergoing a metamorphosis like a snake shedding its skin, I find myself filled with longing for the future. Suddenly, all of those goals, all those possibilities that I haven't gotten to yet, things that I want to achieve in my life, they all seem possible again. There is an anticipation of a new world. I love the cool air. I love the sound of the leaves crunching beneath my feet as I walk. I love the fall holidays. I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday of all time. I love Thanksgiving, the sentiment of modern Thanksgiving, encouraging people to come together and find common ground. And all the great food doesn't hurt much either. Fall, in my mind, fills me with renewed hope for things to come, something which in this day and age is hard to come by. And yet there's still this spookiness to the fall, this sense that something is coming to an end and you're not sure what's going to replace it. Fall evokes imagery of a slow death, the end of a long life, something that is tragic, of course, but also beautiful in that it bookmarks something so ripe with experiences, an entire year of human existence. Halloween is, of course, a spooky holiday. The entire season just kind of encapsulates that sense of the twilight hours between evening and night, where everything is a little sleepy, and yet the day isn't quite over yet. When I think about the fall season, I'm filled with longing and nostalgia, all at the same time, as I look forward and back simultaneously. And the fact that it is the fall which comes every year to slay the evils of summer doesn't hurt. There's just something about the season that's almost ethereal. You can't really explain it. Fall has its own folklore and legends associated with it. Thinking of the fall, it invokes images of forests which have changed in shape as the leaves have been shed, of familiar places made unfamiliar, of dark corners and mystery, things which scratch a romantic itch in the back of my mind. Romantic is in fact a very good word for all of this. Throughout all of this, you have perhaps been wondering, what does any of this have to do with the property that I'm reviewing today? The Cartoon Network original miniseries Over the Garden Wall. The fact of the matter is, this series so perfectly encapsulates what fall means to me, the things that it makes me feel, that if at any other point in the year I am longing for those feelings, for those sensations, I can watch this series and get them. And yet what is so great about it is that it manages to be those things, as effectively a byproduct of what it is trying to be overall. Over the Garden Wall is the story of two brothers who end up in a mysterious place that doesn't seem to make logical sense, made up of various regions reminiscent of various eras in American history. Strange creatures that don't seem possible, real magic, the kind of thing that people dream about when they're children but eventually outgrow as they get older. Witches and talking animals and monsters. All of the things that you dream are possible when you're young. And what's so compelling about this mysterious place is that it literally is, just on the other side of an old stone wall. Even before that twist is revealed, you still get the sense that this is a place that you yourself could reach if you just wandered too far into the woods. The story of the two brothers is absolutely flawlessly told. The older brother, Wirt, played by Elijah Wood of all people, finds himself stuck in this mysterious land, suddenly responsible for his younger brother Greg, who he honestly doesn't care for. They're wonderfully written as realistic kid characters. Wirt makes no secret of the fact that he doesn't really like his brother, and yet Greg is completely oblivious to it due to his good nature and the fact that he's so young. And yet, despite the fact that Wirt doesn't care for his brother, he's still old enough that he recognizes that he's responsible for him and does care about his well-being. Greg himself is absolutely hilarious. He's not laughed at because he's so young. You end up laughing with him because he does have such good humor to him. But it's really his interplay with his brother that makes him so great. He's got a great oddball persona going on that's a perfect contrast to Wirt's straight man. The two of them are accompanied in their journey to try to find their way home by a talking bird named Beatrice, who's delightfully sarcastic, worldly and street smart, and yet has a really good heart to her. She's a fantastic companion, especially the longer they're together. She's a good enough person that even though these are two flawed people that she's traveling with, she still comes to appreciate them and to care about them. She's by far my favorite character in the entire series. And not to be insulting to Greg and Wirt, but my second favorite is actually a minor character, another talking animal. Those who have seen the series will probably know who I'm talking about. He just shows up in a couple of episodes, and you don't even know he's a talking animal at first. And they end up leaving him behind in probably the best episode of the show, up until the end. It's mostly an episodic series, seeing Greg and Wirt encounter these places that they never even dreamed were possible, each with a different, distinct theme, part of which is usually a musical number, Beatrice making a little bit of commentary on how utterly unsuited these two are to this place, and then the two of them moving on to the next adventure. But it is a mini-series, and it is viewed best as a mini-series, either all at once or in large chunks. There are overarching themes and a strong overarching mystery. There's a theme of Wirt trying to discover his place in the universe. He's even outright told by some minor characters that he's the hero or the pilgrim or some other important thing, this or that. And it's really interesting what he ends up choosing to be by the end. And it's actually profound enough that it's up for debate, so I don't even want to spoil it. But I will go so far as to say that as these characters travel around, these characters from another world, who never really understand what's going on around them, still manage to make positive impacts on the lives of most of the people that they touch. There's also a creature pursuing them, the Beast. He's not just interested in them, he has his own goals that he's trying to achieve, his own ends that he's trying to meet. He's opposed by the Woodsman, another recurring character who is sort of the light to the Beast's dark. The Beast is sinister and ever looming. Every time you see a dark space in the background, you wonder, could he be there? As the story progresses, you learn a little bit more about him, sometimes from background details and sometimes from the Beast himself. It's kind of a slow burn type of series. There's not a ton of action in here. There are certainly episodes that are weaker than others, but then there are some absolutely great episodes too, featuring outlandish scenarios and peppered by quirky, likable characters. And even the most forgettable episode of the series, at least in my opinion, has one of the catchiest songs in this entire series, which is filled with great songs. Particularly the title song, which, if I can find an instrumental version of it, I will be playing in the background of this video, on very low volume, of course. There's something haunting and mysterious about it. Something that makes you want to get up, go outside and find a big grouping of trees and just explore. I can't even begin to go into detail about the great musical and historical references in this series because I'm just not qualified to talk about them. Needless to say, though, it's really cool to see a show that celebrates American folklore. You don't see that very often, and it's really nice. I don't want to get into individual episodes as that might lead to spoilers, so I'll leave you with this. Over the Garden Wall is the kind of show that if you sit back and don't let yourself think too logically about it, if you just let yourself be immersed into the world and experience it as it happens, it just might get you to believe in magic again. And I think that's something really special. It is one of my all-time favorite cartoons, and if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. And anyone who watches my movie reviews knows that I don't just give those out willy-nilly. Something has to really earn it for me to give it that score. If you haven't seen Over the Garden Wall, I recommend wholeheartedly that you check it out, especially this time of year. This is the perfect time to watch it for the first time. But as per usual, guys, I'd like to know, if you have seen Over the Garden Wall, what do you think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.
How the gentle wind beckons through the leaves as autumn colors fall.